Good morning and welcome to another edition of Safety Net series produced by the United Way of Southwest Alabama. This week we are featuring partner agency CASA, which is court-appointed special advocates for children. And joining us is Elizabeth. She's going to tell us all we need to know about her organization and how you can help. But before we do that, we always want to make sure and thank our sponsors. So thank you so much for all that you do for the United Way and for our partner agencies. We appreciate you. Good morning, Elizabeth. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, thank you. Okay. Tell us what CASA Mobile does. What you're about.
Okay. CASA is an acronym for Court Appointed Special Advocates. It's a national program that began in Seattle, Washington by a judge there who didn't think he was getting enough information to make placement decisions for children in dependency cases, and those are the abuse and neglect cases. So he came up with the idea of using community volunteers to basically be a witness for the court. His idea was to send these people out to visit with the children, visit in the homes, interview anybody who has some insight into the child's situation, and then bring that information back to him in a written report, so that he can make the best placements possible for these kids. Which is, obviously it's one of the most important decisions that can be made in a child's life is with, where they're going to live and with whom. So he wanted to be sure he got it right. And he came up with this idea and it spread nationwide. So now Mobile started its program in 1997. And we are part of about 950 programs, local programs nationwide.
Oh, wow.
Like I said, we've been open since 1997. We are, I can't remember the number of volunteers that we've trained over the years. Right now I have 40 volunteers. We're getting ready to do a new training in August. So if anybody is interested in being a CASA volunteer, they can give me a call. And at, I don't know if y'all have the number there.
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. You can give me a call and I'll be happy to send you an application packet and we'll hopefully get you in the next training.
Well, let me ask you a follow-up about that. Are there any special skills that volunteers need to have? Or, I'm sure there's a background check and things like that, but
There is.
Do they need to have a legal background? Do they need to?
They do not. As a witness for the court would actually prefer having, a layman's point of view rather than a legal one. So they don't have to have a legal background. And there's really no requirement for educationally. I have a volunteer who got his GED, and I have volunteers who have postgraduate work. So there's no requirement for that. It's just people who have a heart for children and want to be a part of making sure some of these most vulnerable children get into a good, safe home.
So when you say you're averaging about 40 volunteers and you're about to bring on some more, does that reflect the caseload?
No.
Are there that many cases of children that are?
What we can do with our volunteers is just a drop in the bucket. Okay. We have, I think last year the number was about 1,300 new dependency petitions that were filed that the court heard, and those didn't even count the ones that carried over from previous years. So the court is very overwhelmed, overloaded. So is DHR, and we helped last year 115 of those. So you can see that what we can do is just a drop in the bucket. But we do what we can, and that's 115 kids that they didn't enter the foster care system, and they the hope is that they're in the best possible place they can be placed in.
Okay. So, what would you say your greatest need is? Do you need people to donate stuff? Do you need, well, you did mention that you're taking on more volunteers. What would you say your greatest need?
It's volunteers. It's funny, in all these years you'd think the volunteer pool would dry up, but every time we do a training, we have people who respond. So, but the last couple of years obviously have been harder.
Sure.
Since COVID changed everything.
Yes, it did.
It did. And, people, you do have to go into strangers' homes, and people are a little bit afraid of that these days.
Yeah.
So, that's one of our greatest needs right now is just people.
Okay.
And then, money is always there.
Yeah.
As far as supplies and stuff like that, we're pretty covered on that front because our office is in Strickland Youth Center, and so sometimes they give us supplies, and then we buy a few, but we don't have that big a need for supplies like that.
Okay. Do you have any events coming up?
Just our training. We just finished our hats and horses.
Okay. I knew you had a spring event, but I wasn't sure if you had anything in the fall.
Well, we are going to have something this fall in September, but I can't remember the date.
Okay. Well, you just be sure and let us know, and we'll help you push it out.
I will.
So how did your spring event go?
It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
We had it at Heron Lakes Country Club, and we doubled our sponsorship from the year before. And we doubled the money that we brought in from the year before. So that was probably one of the most successful ones we've had.
That's great. I'm glad to hear it. Okay. So you don't have the date. Can you give us a little teaser of what that September event might be?
There's another organization that's putting it on for us. So I don't really have all the details, but,
okay.
And I believe it's September 21st, but don't quote me on that. Okay. I'll be sure and get that date to you for sure. But it's just going to be good music, good food. It's at the Mobile Carnival Museum.
Okay.
Is where it's going to be. And it's $40 a ticket. So not too bad on price.
No, not at all.
And we'd love to see
everybody who feels down for good music and good food. Yeah. So, like I said, as soon as we get those details ironed out, we'll be sure and share them with all of our folks, so that you have great attendance.
Great.
What else would you like the world to know about CASA and the work that you guys do?
Just that I think, like I said, the court system is so overwhelmed these days, and DHR is so overwhelmed and so shorthanded. I feel like CASA fills a gap that is really needed. And I know the courts appreciate the help. We obviously don't have the same powers that DHR has as far as removing children and placing children. We don't do that. But I think giving the court that good factual information, because we don't pick a side. We're just giving them factual information so the judge can make the best decision he can make.
Okay, yeah.
And I feel like that really helps. And I feel like when we walk out of there, we can be happy that we've been a part of that, and we've made sure that these children are going to be as safe as they can be.
That's wonderful.
For their situation. I mean, they're never ideal situations, but we make sure that they get the best placement possible. And it just gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling to know you've helped a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to throw up another graphic that has some more of our sponsors listed out. We want to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing the story of CASA and the work that you guys are doing. Please remember they need volunteers, so reach out to them and if you're interested in working with them. And hope that all of you have a good rest of your day. And we look forward to seeing you all next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.